This time on Monkey Life. It's all hands on deck when Sam and Sasak are allowed back out into the trees.
Jeremy and Kat, you've got eyes on them down there? Keep an eye where she gets to down on the ground.
Woolly monkey Bueno is taken to the operating theatre.
He's lost a lot of weight recently. Out of the dominant males, he's our smallest one now. And this has to be looked at. There has to be a reason for it.
And Lingga gives a hostile welcome to newcomer Kai.
We just have to make sure that the overexcitement doesn't get out of hand, because right now we're going at it like sumo wrestlers, but with teeth.
Monkey World in Dorset is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. The team, led by Dr. Alison Cronin, rescue and rehabilitate unwanted and abandoned primates from all over the world.
Have you packed your stuff? Got your favourite comics and everything?
The park is home to more than 240 monkeys and apes. The aim is to give them as natural a life as possible. For several months, Siamangs Gibbons, Sam and Sasak have been living in a temporary home, while their tree-filled outdoor enclosure has been upgraded. The team decided to take down the electric fence when Sasak arrived, and instead erect a smooth aluminium one the Gibbons can't climb. They've also taken the opportunity to improve the rest of the enclosure.
Moving up some ropes right high up into the trees and putting up some feeding platforms quite high up as well, just to encourage them off the ground and encouraging their natural gibbon behaviour.
Sam has been through a lot of upheaval, and the Gibbon team are keen to get him settled.
With losing Onion, moving house and meeting a new girl, it would be nice to get him back and back to some normality that he knows.
Sasak too has had to cope with a lot of changes.
When she gets there and she's faced with a nice big outside, hopefully it'll make up for a little bit of stress of moving.
The first stage is to get them back into Sam's old house. To do that, they need to be persuaded to climb into a carrying crate. The Gibbons, like all the species at the park, have a dedicated team looking after them. This allows the staff to build up trust with the primates, which is particularly important on days like today. Even new girl Sasak hasn't caused them problems.
She's doing well. She went in very well. Sam went straight in. Sas had 30-second delay and then she came straight in, so really good. Really happy.
The enclosure does look different now the new fence has been put up, and Sam may find that unsettling. But the Gibbon team are taking things slowly and want the two of them to get used to the house before they go outside.
Push, Sam. Push. Good boy.
Sam's just come out of the crate. He's just shot inside, obviously. He doesn't want to be in the crate too much. He's a bit anxious because he's separated from Sasak. They're quite strongly bonded, so they don't really like being separate at all. So the sooner we get her inside, the better.
We ready?
Push us up, Sass. Come on, sweetheart.
Sasak is unperturbed, but Sam seems a bit on edge.
They've settled down now. Sasak has just helped herself to a bit of breakfast there. So, yeah, Sam's obviously a little bit anxious still, but she seems fairly calm, actually. A lot calmer than him.
Once the Gibbons have got used to their new home, they'll be allowed back into the trees. The Siamangs aren't the only ones having changes made to their enclosure. Butch's group of chimps are being kept inside because they're getting a brand new climbing frame. The old one had to be demolished to make way for the new structure. But the frame had to be built in stages because there'd be trouble in the all-male group if they were holed up for too long.
The enclosure was getting a little bit old, a little bit tired. The bachelor boys were getting a bit bored with it as well. It was the same thing every day.
It's a much bigger frame now, with a lot more usable space.
We put a huge amount of things up high for those guys that love to climb and love to swing around. But we've also put some low-hanging hoses as well, just to help those guys that aren't quite so good at climbing.
The design will help the lower-ranking chimps who are often given a hard time by more senior members of the group.
Put in some of these black half rounds that you can't see through. So for the lower ranking ones like Kiko and Charlie, we wanted them to have areas that they could go that the big boys couldn't see them.
A new feeder will make the bachelors work harder for their treats.
We can put different sized food items in there. And the idea is that it's a really good exercise for them to really, really search for the food. So they have to roll it to try and knock the food and get it out.
The boys seem to like what they see. This group are a particularly rowdy bunch, and the chimp team are hoping this new climbing frame will help dispel excess energy.
Absolutely loving it. It's been really nice to watch them actually getting up higher than they've ever been before. Particularly Paco, he's just climbed right up to the top pole. And he puffs himself up to make himself look as big as possible. Plus, he can also see what's going on in the whole enclosure. He can keep an eye on everyone and what they're actually doing as well.
As hoped, the lower anchors take sanctuary in the hiding places.
Seamus and Charlie at the moment are both having a really good play session. They're thoroughly enjoying the red hosing nets that we have out there. They've got big wide grins on their faces. They're laughing and having a great time out there. Generally, when you see the bachelors playing, it's a really good sign because they're all nice and relaxed. No one's really feeling that anxious. The new blue barrels that we put up are absolutely great. They seem to love them. Sammy is actually really enjoying the barrel. He is being a little bit lazy. He's just sitting under it and twirling it around in the hopes that food kind of falls into his lap.
Sammy has put on weight recently, and the chimp team are hoping this new climbing frame will give him more exercise.
We would like to get a little bit more weight off him if possible, particularly now that we've just put up the red hosing. It is helping him because he has got handholds to climb up. We've so far only seen him going about halfway, but we hope that in the future he will gain confidence and actually go that little bit further. So little steps at a time. Everyone seems to be having an absolute amazing time. We've never seen all of the boys outside for so long.
At the Orang nursery, newest recruit Kai is settling in well and has been having a great time with Xiao Ning. He's shown no signs of missing his mum, Xiao Kuai, who he was recently separated from.
Kai's obviously with Xiao Ning, which we pretty well thought was going to be okay because they know each other, or reasonably know each other, and that's gone really, really well. So now Lingga and Dinda are in the next bedroom waiting for their turn. Probably a silly thing to say, but they're only little people, so it's a bit limited to how much damage they can do to each other. So anyway, we're going to open the door and see. Prove me a liar. Again.
When you're ready. Ready? No, you're good.
Lingga, in particular, has a reputation of being rather hostile to newcomers. She's already tried to have a go at Kai through the mesh, so this encounter could be interesting. Kai is keen to meet Dinda, and she responds well.
That's good. Look at Dinda. Good girl. Oh, see, it's not so bad.
But when he approaches Lingga, she's not so welcoming and sticks close to Dinda.
All right, Lingga.
I think he's at least as hard as you, Lingga.
These introductions are being done in a small area on purpose, so that if there's trouble, the team can separate the orangs more easily.
He's just saying hello to everybody. Of course, Lingga's got an attitude and he doesn't care.
Lingga seems to have met her match in Kai. Realising he's not getting anywhere, he turns his attention back to Dinda.
Excellent.
Dinda's been perfect. She's very friendly and sociable. That's probably why Lingga's got so much of an attitude. because her best friend is very shallow and has dumped her already. Come on, Lingga, join in. Yeah, she says, I'll join in.
Lingga goes on the offensive again. She doesn't like Kai playing with her buddy.
Lingga's finally started sort of relaxing a bit more, and like, if you know her, the look on her face has gone from tight-lipped and so on to sort of like, oh, this is fun. And they like wrestling and playing hard. We just have to make sure that the overexcitement doesn't get out of hand, because right now we're going at it like sumo wrestlers, but with teeth. For Kai, it's just fantastic because Xiao Kuai Hu, he's got his hands fully occupied with some nice young ladies and a really nice transition for him. But of course, we still have Jolie, Oshin, and Sylvester to go yet.
And Kai will need Lingga and Dinda on side for that meeting. There are 3 groups of woolly monkeys at the park, each led by a dominant male. Bueno is very well respected in his group. He arrived at the park in 2005 as part of the European Endangered Species Breeding Programme and has fathered 3 children.
Bueno, out of all of our dominant males, is probably the quietest one. He's very much a man's man in that he does do everything that a dominant male should do. He mates with the females, he makes sure that no one's in any danger. He's always the first one to give out the alarm call whenever he perceives any danger, and that's exactly what you need from a dominant male.
But over recent weeks, the woolly monkey team have become increasingly concerned about Bueno.
He's lost a lot of weight recently. Out of the dominant males, he's our smallest one now. And he's actually smaller than the females that we have now, which is a really, really worrying thing. He hasn't actually went off his food any. He's still eating really well, but for some reason just not gaining any weight. And this has to be looked at. There has to be a reason for it.
To carry out any investigations, Bueno is going to have to be put under anaesthetic. And it's the woolly monkey team who are going to give him the injection. They know him very well, so it's much easier for them to do this.
Excellent.
At the hospital, wildlife vet John Lewis and the parks vet Mike Nathan are ready and waiting. Bueno has had an anaesthetic before when he had a tooth extracted. But anaesthesia always carries risks, and the team haven't made this decision lightly. After feeling his chest, they prepare for an X-ray.
All yours.
Okay.
Cut McGrath.
Fire.
Mike notices something unusual.
What on earth is that? Oh, something odd there, John.
Terry,
That doesn't look good.
what is it?
That's what we're feeling here. And that's all soft tissue. I suspect that that is where our growth is likely to be, what we can feel.
A growth could indicate a cancerous tumour. Mike wants another view, so prepares for a second X-ray, this time just of the chest area.
X-ray.
John continues to monitor Bueno's breathing. Anaesthetics can go wrong at any point. This X-ray suggests a different diagnosis.
Oh, there's...
Wow. Cardiac.
He's got a hugely enlarged heart, so what we would probably call a cardiomyopathy. I think there's more to it than that, but that would be why he's lethargic. Unless that is a... unless there's more to it than that, and that's, you know, a cardiac... It's pericardial fluid around it. The only way we'd know that is to scan him.
We felt a small soft tissue something, a lump, just underneath his rib cage there. And I don't know what that is, and the X-ray, although it shows it as a lump, doesn't identify what it is. But more to the point, his heart is hugely enlarged. Now, that can be damage to heart muscle. It could even be a secondary enlargement because he's been chronically anemic. We don't know yet, but so we're going to run some further tests on him, including specific tests for heart muscle damage. And let's see what that reveals.
As the diagnosis isn't conclusive, John takes some bloods to test for other potential problems.
I think that's enough, mate. Yeah, it's fine.
While he's still asleep, they also take the opportunity to weigh him.
7.55.
That's 2 kilos below the average weight for a male woolly monkey of his age. Primate care staff are going to have to keep a very close eye on Bueno over the next few months.
If Bueno didn't recover from whatever it is he's suffering from, it would be a huge loss, not only to us personally and emotionally, but to the woolly monkey collection as a whole. These guys are so few and far between now, and every individual is precious, so we really need to make sure we're doing our best by Bueno and that doesn't happen.
At the Siamangs Gibbon house, Sam and Sasak have settled into their new home and are busy grooming. This is an important activity for Siamangs and shows how strong the bond between them has become. The team have decided it's time for them to be allowed outside into their tree-filled enclosure for the first time since it's been refurbished. Kat is doing one final check.
I'm just checking the ground for any kind of debris left over from the building work. Things like this, we've got little shards of metal. Now these shards are actually look quite innocuous to us, but they're kind of razor sharp on the edges. So obviously we don't want the Siamangs coming out here and actually picking these up and unfortunately eating them. That could result in all sorts of injuries to them. So I'm just looking to make sure there's none of them left.
They want to encourage the Gibbons to feed in the canopy as they would in the wild.
This is a pulley feeder that we put up for Sam and Sasak. So I'm just releasing the rope so that I can lower the pulley down from the tree and put some food in it. Well, naturally, Gibbons will feed high up in the trees. They really don't come down to the ground very often. So this allows us to actually put their food up high, and it's a much more natural way for them to eat. We can't wait to see Sam and Sasak back up in the trees. It'll be so exciting. It's where they belong, and yeah, it's going to be a really great day.
Inside, Sam and Sasak are unaware of all the excitement.
Guys, you ready to come out?
They don't seem in any hurry.
Sam, come on.
Jeremy always says better slow than fast, so in their own time, that's fine. We'll wait them out.
Finally, Sasak emerges. In Gibbon society, the females are more dominant than the males, so it's no surprise that she goes first.
They seem to be exploring the trees quite a lot and the ground as well, so far so good.
Sam is unsettled by the new fence. Siamangs are native to Malaysia, Thailand and Sumatra. They're the largest of all gibbons and can move quickly. The team have worked hard to make sure the enclosure is safe, but everyone needs to be vigilant to ensure Sam and Sasak don't find an escape route that's been overlooked.
Yeah, Jeremy and Kat, you've got eyes on them down there? Yeah, just keep an eye where she gets to down on the ground.
There's points of the enclosure that we can't see from this angle, so we've just got staff dotted around, just so that we can make sure everything's fine.
One thing I'm quite surprised about is Sasak isn't staying as close to him as I thought she might, but everybody's really calm. Sam isn't sure about the new fence, but he's had a look at it up close and went back into the trees.
The feeders certainly seem to be a success. obviously with all the other interesting and exciting things to do, they went off exploring rather than sitting eating, but they've come back and they've been picking throughout the morning, just taking all their favourite bits and pieces. Sasak has actually surprised us all. She is so laid back. She seems to just take everything in her stride. She doesn't really seem bothered or upset whatever's happening to her, so we're really, really impressed with how well she's done. Sam and Sasak definitely are our Romeo and Juliet in the park at the moment. They just seem to be totally in love, and they are always grooming and touching, hugging, and just having a lovely time together.
Unfortunately, the weather stops them exploring further.
The heavens have just opened and the rain is getting quite heavy now. Sam and Sasak have had the sense to actually come inside, so we've actually taken the opportunity and we've shut them in for now. They've explored every inch of the enclosure, they've used a lot of muscles today, and they've also had a very emotional day as well because there's a lot of excitement for them as well, so I'd imagine that they're just going to want to tuck down to bed quite early and sleep right through.